Hello everyone and welcome to Edusurg Clinics. I am Dr. Gunjan Desai and today we are going to continue our discussion on applied anatomy of duodenum. In this part we are going to see the arterial supply, the venous drainage, lymphatic drainage of duodenum, and as discussed last time some very high yield applied concepts, anatomically important and relevant clinical syndromes when it comes to duodenum. If you have not seen the previous video, I would highly recommend seeing it because the schematics that we use there are going to come up in this video as well. So when it comes to arterial supply of duodenum, and we have extensively reviewed the branches of celiac axis, so I'm not going to go into detail of that. We have also discussed the blood supply of pancreas in a lot of detail, where you have seen this schematic. The celiac axis and the superior mesenteric artery give the inferior pancreaticoduodenal artery, whereas the common hepatic artery gives gastroduodenal artery, which gives the superior pancreaticoduodenal artery. And these two vessels, the inferior and the superior pancreaticoduodenal artery, divide into anterior and posterior branches, you can see here, and they form the arcades, which are the anterior and the posterior, inferior and superior pancreaticoduodenal artery arcades. So that is the most important supply of the duodenum. Branch of celiac axis, common hepatic GDA gives superior pancreaticoduodenal artery the branches. So this schematic will help you in understanding the arterial supply. Other important branches are the right gastric artery, usually from the proper hepatic artery, supraduodenal artery of Wilkie from common hepatic artery, some retroduodenal branches from the gastroduodenal artery, and some branches from right gastroepiploic artery. So this in essence covers the entire arterial blood supply to duodenum. Remember that if you injure one of the arcades in surgery, or if you ligate one of the arcades in surgery, retrograde flow from the other arcade will take care of the duodenum. But if you block both of them, you have a problem and you may have to excise the duodenum completely. So right gastric artery, which is a branch of proper hepatic artery, supraduodenal artery of Wilkie from the common hepatic artery. Then you have the retroduodenal branches of the gastroduodenal artery and some branches from the right gastroepiploic artery. The main supply from the arcades that also supply the pancreas. Now coming to venous drainage, again a diagram that you have seen in our video on venous drainage of the pancreas, more or less the same vessel we have to see. You have the anterior superior pancreaticoduodenal vein, which joins with the right gastroepiploic vein and forms the gastrocolic trunk of Henle with or without the superior right colic vein. Then you have the posterior superior pancreaticoduodenal vein, which usually directly joins the portal vein. And then you have the anterior and posterior inferior pancreaticoduodenal vein, which can join the superior mesenteric vein as an inferior pancreaticoduodenal vein. So that is something that you need to remember. Finally, we know that the superior mesenteric vein is going to join the splenic vein and form the portal vein, and it is the portal vein that is the final drainage of the duodenum. Now coming to lymphatic drainage, there is an anterior drainage which is the pancreaticoduodenal and the pyloric group of lymph nodes. These are along the superior and inferior pancreaticoduodenal arteries as well as along the gastroduodenal artery. Lymph from the anterior surface of duodenum travels to these nodes. Then you have posterior drainage which goes into the superior mesenteric lymph nodes, passes posterior to the head of the pancreas to reach these nodes. The final drainage goes to the celiac nodes and the cisterna-chylic group of nodes, just like the pancreas. So anterior drainage, posterior drainage, and finally into the celiac group of nodes. Now supplies, the sympathetic nerves are from the thoracic 9 and 10 spinal segments. Parasympathetic nerves are from vagus. So that is something that covers the arterial supply, venous drainage, lymphatics, and the nerve supplies of the duodenum. Now coming to some important applied aspects, and these are very commonly asked questions, so remember all of them. You can get confused sometimes in what the examiner is asking, so something that you need to understand. The first question and the applied concept arises from what is known as the superior mesenteric artery syndrome, or also known as the Wilkie syndrome. Okay, and what you have to remember is that superior mesenteric artery is compressing the duodenum between SMA and aorta. So SMADA is a mnemonic if you need it. If you have understood these anatomical concepts, you saw in the first video where we have shown that superior mesenteric artery goes anterior to the duodenum. So when this fat is lost due to weight loss or any other reason, the duodenum is going to get compressed between the SMA and the aorta. So when this angle reduces in the scan, that is known as SMA syndrome. Okay, we can have a separate discussion on how it presents clinically and how to manage it. But this is one of the important applied questions that is asked when it comes to duodenal anatomy. So superior mesenteric artery syndrome or Wilkie syndrome. Now coming to the other syndrome that is commonly asked, that is known as nutcracker syndrome. So SMA syndrome, SMADA, nutcracker syndrome, NELRA. What that means is that here the artery, that is the superior mesenteric artery, is compressing the left renal vein between artery and the aorta. Okay, so you can see here the left renal vein, the superior mesenteric artery. When the fat is lost, it can lead to compression of the left renal vein by superior mesenteric artery and aorta. Again, something that is seen in sagittal section in a scan. When both of them exist together, it is also known as nutcracker duodenum. Okay, so you have to remember these terminologies. If you are asked nutcracker syndrome, it is left renal vein getting compressed by SMA and aorta as a nutcracker, and that is why it is known as nutcracker syndrome. Next is duodenal atresia. I'm sure most of you commonly seen in pediatric age group. One important applied anatomy here in second part of duodenum is known as a duodenal diverticulum, causing compression of the bile duct and leading to obstructive jaundice. This is known as Lamel syndrome. Okay. So Lamel syndrome is nothing but a duodenal diverticulum, usually from the second part of duodenum, leading to compression of the bile duct. So that is Lamel syndrome. Another important question is cauterization, and we have already seen that you start at the duodenocolic groove, then go along the second part of duodenum, separate the pancreas from the posterior plane of structures. If you have not seen the first video, we have discussed this in detail in the first video. So once you cauterize it fully, you will be able to see the left renal vein, IVC, right renal vein, kidney, adrenal, right gonadal vein, border of aorta, aortocaval area, suprahilar group of nodes, and the lateral border of superior mesenteric artery. So this is what an cauterization is going to give you. Now coming to the paraduodenal hernias, you have to remember that there are two important fossa. One is the left paraduodenal hernia and one is the right paraduodenal hernia. Remember that the right paraduodenal hernia opens towards the left. Okay, you can see here the descending colon, the inferior mesenteric vein, the duodenojejunal flexure, and the superior mesenteric vessels. Behind the superior mesenteric vessels and the duodenum superiorly, this is the fossa of Waldeyer. As you can see, the mouth is facing towards the left. So right paraduodenal hernia is when the structures of bowel are going inside this fossa of Waldeyer. Left paraduodenal hernia is when the structures are going inside this area which is behind the inferior mesenteric vein and the ascending colic artery. This area is known as fossa of Lanzert. Okay, so that is the fossa of Lanzert. You have the pancreas here, as we have seen in the schematic. This is the duodenojejunal flexure. So here will be the pancreas and the left kidney, and you have the inferior mesenteric vein and the ascending left colic artery anteriorly, and behind it and below the pancreas is the fossa of Lanzert, right? So location is on the left side of abdomen. You have seen now. Frequency, it is 3 times more common than the right paraduodenal hernia. It results from a defect in the descending mesocolon. You can see here It lies to the left but opens to the right. This is where things are getting confused usually in exam. So remember the left paraduodenal hernia, the hernia is to the left, but mouth is to the right. So as we discussed, superiorly it will have pancreas and renal vessels. To the right is the aorta, to the left is the kidney, and anteriorly it is the inferior mesenteric vein and the ascending left colic artery. Coming to the right paraduodenal hernia, as we have seen, it is in the fossa of Waldeyer, less common than the left paraduodenal hernia. It results from incomplete rotation of small intestine. It can show some dilated small bowel loops going behind the superior mesenteric artery. As we discussed, superiorly lies the duodenum, anterior is the superior mesenteric and ileocolic vessels, and posteriorly is the lumbar vertebra. So these are very commonly asked applied questions like the Nutcracker syndrome, SMA syndrome, Lamel syndrome, and the two paraduodenal hernias. Which side is the mouth? Which side is the sac? The anterior wall of these hernias, fossa of Lanzert and fossa of Waldeyer. Very commonly asked questions. I hope that this series will help you in answering these questions in a very simplified manner. Thank you.